Hey everyone, welcome back to Miss Murray's Corner. So as you see here, I have my third guest. Chanelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Chanelle Cunningham. I was originally raised in Kentucky, born in Germany because from a military family. I grew up in Kentucky where I went all the way from kindergarten to high school, and then I moved to Georgia for college. And it was in college I graduated from Spelman with a degree in early. Yeah, I graduated from Spelman with a degree in early childhood education. And I've been teaching for so far, this is my fifth year teaching. And I just really like it. Ever since, during my 5 year stint of teaching, I've written 3 books plus one journal, and I just really like it. I write books, and I'm also a book coach, so I teach other people how to write books. And it's just really good. I think that every teacher needs to be able to do something outside of teaching. And so my other side of my career is being a writer and author.
Wow, Chanelle, that's amazing. Actually, quick little funny story. Chanelle and I actually graduated from Spelman at the same time, but did not know each other. So we actually recently connected via Instagram. So the power of networking is so, so important. And I'm just so happy to have you here today. So wow, just in your short amount of time of having a career, you've talked about being an author, about helping people write books, about being a teacher. What do you say were some of like the highlights of your teaching career?
I would say a definite highlight was teaching abroad. For one of those years, the year before last year, I did a whole teaching year in Japan. And that was, like I said, a very life-changing, amazing experience because I'm a person who likes to travel, but I had never lived abroad before. So I lived and taught over there for a year. And that was really the highlight of my teaching career thus far. And also getting a chance to teach different age groups because I'm certified K through 5. But when I was in Japan, I was able to teach middle and high school. So I basically got exposure to different age groups that I normally wouldn't have had in the States. And I thought that was a really cool experience. So teaching abroad and teaching all different ages of kids.
Well, that's amazing. I started my teaching career in DC and now I'm back in Atlanta. So I've only taught in 2 places domestically, but that's amazing to be able to go abroad and teach. And I love that you also have had a variety of different grades that you were able to touch as well. So I know it's the big question that every educator is talking about right now. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on children returning back to the school building?
I would say that for right now, because this whole, virus and pandemic is so new, I don't think they should return right now. I really think that they should do another year of remote learning just so they can kind of, work out all the kinks. Because with social distancing, it's almost like social distancing and then school children don't mix because, you're just going to eliminate the playground, eliminate the cafeteria. It's too many loose ends right now. And until they can get a clear way to keep everybody safe, I think they should still do remote learning.
Yes, it is a very touchy subject right now that everyone is speaking of. I have similar thoughts as well. My school is thinking of doing like a hybrid schedule or virtual learning. So just waiting to find out what is ultimately going to be the final decision for schools, but just making sure to keep families and students first in mind. Okay, Chanel. So, what inspired you to become an author? And if you wouldn't mind, maybe even reading a little excerpt of I Said What I Said.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No problem. Well, to be honest, I've always been a writer. I've always been drawn to writing poetry, essays, short stories. So to me, basically branching off into writing children's books was kind of an easy segue for me because I've always been a writer at heart. But I was actually inspired because one year I was teaching first grade, and I was teaching in a school that didn't have a lot of racial diversity. And I just noticed that, I was in the school library one day and I noticed that there were no books featuring African American characters. And I know it has something to do with the demographic, but I still think that, diversity representation should be everywhere, regardless of what kind of school you teach in. And so I remember back to a quote that I saw on social media, and it said, if you don't see the book that you want, then write it. And so that's what I did. I noticed that there was no, representation for African American children in books at that school. And so I said, okay, that's a problem, but I can fix that. And so I got to work with, writing the story, doing the illustrations. And before you know it, I had the book.
I love that. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe just reading a couple of pages from it.
Absolutely. Oh, also, let me tell you about the title. So it's called I Said What I Said. It's a very intentional title because growing up, I always was basically taught to value my words. Like I always grew up knowing the power of words, you know, what they can do, and to always talk positively. And I always knew about affirmations, but now as an adult, I wanted a way to teach that to children and make it in a way they can understand it. And so I came up with I Said What I Said to help teach children about the power of their words.
That's
So
interesting.
I'll read a couple of pages of it. And it's actually my favorite 2 pages of the book. So on this one, it has Macy waking up in the morning, and it says, "Every day I create my world and pave the way with my mind. I believe I deserve good things, so good things are always mine."
I love that. I actually purchased the books for my nieces and I read them today and I was just blown away. And I love how at the end, children are able to make their own affirmations and even cut them out so they can post them. So it's a very interactive book and would definitely recommend 10 out of 10.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, my biggest goal is just for children to learn that, you know, you have the power over your own life. A lot of people, they look at children and they think of them as helpless and people have to make decisions for them. But really, at any age, you can start dictating your life. And that's what I want my book to teach.
That's amazing. So just like before we close up, I was wondering what advice would you give to anyone that's looking to become an author in terms of maybe creating a topic, finding a publisher?
Well, my number one piece of advice would definitely be don't give up. I know the writing process has lots of different moving parts because yeah, you do have the writing, the editing, the publishing, the promotion. It's lots of moving parts, but it's not a race. So just go at your own pace, and when it gets done, it'll get done. I would say that for up and coming authors, new authors, I would suggest self-publishing when you're just getting your foot in the door. I wouldn't personally, my experience, I wouldn't try to look for a big name publisher just yet. I would get my feet wet as a self-published author first. That way, you can keep more of your profits. You have more creative control over how your book is promoted, how it's marketed out there. You basically have more control when you self-publish first. And then after you get comfortable with that and create a couple books, then I would say, yeah, you can look for a publisher and pitch it to different people. But I would just say if you're just starting off, just go ahead and do self-publishing. And also, I said back at the beginning of the interview, I am a book coach. So if you need help in the process, you can reach out to me. And I know everything from step 1 all the way to the print book. So like I said, I've had a lot of trial and error, and that has helped me to become an expert in the field of publishing books. So you can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Nellie Loves to Write. That's NELLY, the number 2, WRITE. And you can always find me on there and DM me, and I can definitely help you from stage 1 all the way to the final stage of the process.
That's amazing. Wow, I definitely will be contacting you in the future, and I hope others do as well. Just thinking about where can they find this book? Where can they find Macy?
They can find her at her website. Her home and website is macybookworld.com. So Macy, MacyBookWorld.com. Macybookworld.com. All of her books, as far as also she has a new book. I just made a new one that's talking about the coronavirus and all the anxiety that can cause a lot of children. And it's called I Said I'm Not Scared. And Macy, she teaches children about, how to stay safe and sane during, this COVID-19 pandemic. And basically explains everything on a child's level so they can understand it too. So all of that is at www.macybookworld.com.
I love that. Well, Chanelle, thank you so much for joining me today on Miss Mary's Corner. I'm so happy we've connected. If you love this video, want to connect further with Chanelle, please like and subscribe, and her info will be in the description. So see you guys next time on Miss Mary's Corner.